we would literally come in on the first business day of the month and spend the entire day pulling numbers, putting them into spreadsheets, and then we would have to get them done by like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And then we'd have to send them to design. And then design would have to get it back to us by like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And then we would send out all of our emails. It was a mess. It was terrible. It was very, very stressful. I mean, we were pulling numbers from Facebook, from Google, Google Analytics, Google AdWords, and then HubSpot, and sometimes SharpSpring, and sometimes any other obscure program that we were using. And it was terrible, and it was not efficient. And there were errors because we would find the number and then we'd put it in a spreadsheet, right? Error, data entry. And it would literally take up our entire day and then end up sometimes not even being right.
Yep. All right. So Kelsey, thank you so much. Welcome to our Agency Spotlight series. I have been dying to pick your brain for like over a year now. So I'm glad I finally get the chance to do so.
I'm ready to help.
Perfect. So for those who don't know, could you just tell us a little about yourself and Blue Frog, what your role is, where you're located, and any specializations of Blue Frog?
Yeah, so Blue Frog Marketing is an inbound agency in Des Moines, Iowa. We service the U.S. and Canada, so we're a little bit unique in that cost of living in Iowa is really low. And so our retainer prices can be low, and yet we can service places like we have clients in Boston and DC and in LA where they would not be able to get that kind of service at that cost. It was very interesting. So in addition to that, we are a website design, growth-driven design, and inbound marketing agency. So we everything revolves around websites. In fact, we don't even take inbound clients without producing the website because we've just seen so many websites go wrong, right?
Yep.
That's really our specialty. And then we also have a full print suite. So
cool.
we kind of separated into 2 companies at this point with that.
Got it. And so what are you doing specifically at Blue Frog?
So I am the director of client experience. So what that means, I started with the company 4 years ago as a strategist. So I was an account manager. Account manager has a little bit to do with sales and retention. And my retention rate was really high. I averaged like a 97% retention rate. I've lost 1 client so far in my career at Blue Frog. And so with that development, I've been able to train the new strategists and then get them into the patterns that I use in building rapport and understanding data and explaining to the client and teaching them in order to build those bonds and keep them long term. And because of that growth within the company, I'm now the person that, for lack of a better word, is an ally to the client. So now I'm almost the opposite of sales. I will meet with the clients pre any sales conversation, and I will understand what they need and what their budget has to be. And then I'm almost a third-party lawyer, and I go and I'm like, okay, this is what I know about the client. This is what I have to share. We have to have the best interest of the client. And it's not ever because we never did have the best interest. We always have. But as we grow, we find that the messaging gets farther away from the core of the business,
right,
as any company grows. And so we need that ally there to say, this is what we stand for. This is what we can do for you, even if that might not be the way that they interpreted it from another staff member. So that's where I come in. I'm kind of a conduit between them and management.
I'm not surprised by those retention numbers one bit. Perfect. So what we'll be diving into during this conversation is just, how you guys are using Databox, what it does for you, your team, your agency, your clients, just kind of get a better understanding of how being a Databox partner has changed the way that you guys work. Mm-hmm. So just to get started, I would love to hear what you guys were doing in terms of data analysis and client reporting before using Databox.
So everything that we have always done has revolved around goals. And those goals are really more business goals than data goals. Mm-hmm. And that's still the way that we do it today. But today we're able to back up what we're doing with data and with KPIs. So back 4 years ago, when we originally got into this, we would develop a goal like your business needs more leads, your business needs to be found on Google. that kind of thing. And then we would set in place a series of tasks to get us there. And then those tasks could be measured with they used to monitor rank, right? They don't anymore.
Right.
But we used to monitor rank on Google. We used to monitor keyword success, which doesn't exist anymore. We would monitor organic traffic, which of course we still can. But it was very vague. We didn't have the ability to assign KPIs to the tactics that we were doing, if that makes sense. And so our reporting, we would literally come in on the first business day of the month and spend the entire day pulling numbers, putting them into spreadsheets, and then we would have to get them done by like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And then we'd have to send them to design. And then design would have to get it back to us by like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And then we would send out all of our emails. It was a mess. It was terrible. It was very, very stressful. I mean, we were pulling numbers from Facebook, from Google, Google Analytics, Google AdWords, and then HubSpot, and sometimes SharpSpring, and sometimes any other obscure program that we were using. And it was terrible, and it was not efficient. And there were errors because we would find the number and then we'd put it in a spreadsheet, right? Error, data entry. And it would literally take up our entire day and then end up sometimes not even being right. So that is what our old reports day used to look like.
And so you mentioned that there were some instances of, manual error, or, there are a lot of different people that were involved in this. Mm-hmm. So did you ever find that, the time it took to do these reports, were there members of your team that were like, I can't do this, I need to be doing something else? Was there any sort of leeway that, something else is going to take priority, or was reporting the number one priority on the first business day of the month, no matter what?
No matter what. I mean, you could not take a vacation. You could not take a day off. I mean, if you were sick, there was obviously a way that we could work around it. But honestly, in my memory, I can't think of a single time someone was sick on a report day. And we didn't take client meetings on the first of the month. We didn't take client meetings on the first week of the month, because if there was any spillover, if there was any problem, if there was anything we needed to solve, I mean, the biggest thing is like, you just couldn't. And at the time, our business was smaller. Our department now is 5 people, the strategy, the people who are reporting. And then in addition to that, we do have our ad department, which is another 3 people. Back when we were doing it this way, there was 2 of us.
Got it.
So we've just grown so much, but it was basically like, this is reports day and you have to do it.
Right. And I remember our first conversation, you guys were in there in your pajamas with your dogs, trying to make it as enjoyable as possible, which was why initially I was like, they're the best. I love that.
Yes. Now we still do those things, but it's more of a holiday.
Right. Like, it's for fun. It's not because like you're doing a terrible task.
Yeah.
Perfect. So then, since you've been using Databox, what has changed? You're still wearing your pajamas sometimes, but what has changed in terms of data analysis and client reporting at Blue Frog?
We're just really able to get more granular. I mean, we have a lot of clients. I mean, part of our ability to build rapport with our clients is the fact that we're educating them about metrics. Mm-hmm. Business owners are not analysts. They're just not. And that's why they're business owners. They're entrepreneurs. They don't want to be told what to do, and they don't want to be told what to learn, in all honesty. And so we find that some of our clients, we need a really, really general board, and we're able to give them a couple pieces of information. And then we have others that allow us to get really granular. I know you've helped me with some of those types of clients specifically. And the day itself is not nearly as difficult. I mean, I will say I probably shouldn't do this because clients respond really well to patterns and routine, but I almost change my board every month because I'm like, oh, that's neat, and I want to pull that in for this client or that in for this client. I'm changing things, and I probably shouldn't do that, but it allows me the freedom to do that. If a conversation that I had last month was really relevant, I can pull that information in and say, look, looky Lou, I'm able to give this to you and let you understand why I'm making the understanding.
And so it sounds like you really are using Databox to have more driven conversations with your clients, making sure that you're showing, yes, these are the business goals, and here's how we're proving that these are valuable, or here's how we're proving that we're doing it, or why we need to start doing it a little bit more intensively.
That's right.
So are all of the strategists on your team, is everyone going about using the reports with this same approach? Do you have some standardized reports that you start with, or what's the process for kind of starting with a client and getting them to the point where you can answer those questions on the spot, but just showing them that data because they might not know what they want to see, like you said?
We have a type of structure that we move clients through. So we have kind of what to expect in year one, what to expect in year two, what to expect in year three, that most of our inbound clients follow.
Right.
For example, even if you come to us in year one and you say lead generation is my number one issue, we are still going to try to get you found on Google. So in year one, we might still be teaching you how to understand the sources of your traffic. And then by year two, so the data board that we put together in the original year, in the very initial year, is almost always going to be fully about sources, both traffic sources and lead sources. And then as we evolve that client into year two, where we're looking at lead gen, and that's a super big focus for us, and we need to say, our bounce rate is too high on this page, and this is our most viewed page, therefore we need to change this and that. We're able to show them proof of why we're doing that. And so to answer the original question, we do have a sort of template that we start all of our clients on. And then as their understanding evolves, we move them down the path.
Perfect. I love that. And that sounds like, the most successful agencies, they are able to adapt according to the client's needs. If that consulting client isn't really interested in seeing so many numbers, then maybe it would be a little bit better of an experience for them to see the distribution amongst those sources using pie charts as opposed to a table. Yeah. So those are all little things that you guys seem to have a really good handle on and process in place to uncover as you're talking with them. And then you obviously have the skills to take advantage of that in your reports.
Yeah, we try. We just think everything stems to the relationship that you have with the client and whether or not you're able to educate them and earn their trust. And just like the example of my meeting this morning, I was able to explain to them, I'm not, full of it. I am making this assumption based on the data that I'm seeing. And I can prove it to you that I've got it at my fingertips by popping it onto this board when I was using it for internal purposes. Full transparency, build that trust, show them that it's all data driven. And I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do that before.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it is.
So when you're sharing and communicating those results with either your team or with your clients, how do those conversations go? Are you ever, are there any clients that you just give the reports to, or do you have a system in place for making sure they understand this data that you are presenting to them?
I would like to have a better system, but really the only way that we can tell if they understand is if we can read them when we're meeting with them. And we service the U.S. and Canada, so sometimes it's a phone call and you just have to be attuned to their voice and you have to kind of understand the relationship. We have some clients that we simply send the report to, and that's that. Especially our advertising clients, because we send it weekly for ads, and that we're also able to update them on what we're manipulating over the course of the month. So the ads is a little bit different. They don't get a monthly meeting, but we do have some inbound clients. We have one particular inbound client that comes to mind, and she just doesn't meet with me.
Yeah.
She trusts what we're doing. I have clients that I meet with every single month, and they still don't understand what I mean by organic. And I have to, every time I say organic, I also have to say that's traffic from Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Like it's every single day. It's one word at this point.
Do you guys share do you share data boards internally, or is that how you're able to meet with the specialists that you're trying to get up to your speed, your retention level, your level of expertise? Are you kind of going through some of this with them in terms of what you're doing with your clients so successfully right now?
Yeah, most of our specialists do use Databox. Specifically, our ads team uses it, and they do use it on a client-facing level. And then our web team uses it on an internal level that's not client-facing at all. We use it for our growth-driven design.
Got it.
Yep. And so then, so that's there. And then we have an analyst who is on the back end. That's Michaela. She was promoted to be an analyst. Yeah.
Very cool.
She's using it on the back end now as she's no longer going to be client facing like that. And she started, for those of you who don't know the team, she started as a strategist. But the strategists are the client facing account managers. So they are a generalist in a way. They have to understand everything. And then those specialists, they're trained on Databox so that they can utilize Databox to tell us, the generalists, what we need to know when we're having conversations with the client, in addition to our knowledge that we are just required to know. So yeah, it's absolutely something that we use in our internal training and in our internal communication.
Perfect. And so just to, you've provided so much information here. This is exactly what I knew you would be great at. So I'm glad we were able to have this conversation. But I would just love to hear, what do you think, as someone who has done a lot of things very, very well, what do you find to be the biggest value add of being a Databox partner?
I mean, I would say this to anyone from Databox who talked to me, but our ability to have access to you anytime is really, really exceptional. And I wish I could call your boss and just, tell him that. I mean that sincerely, but also I think it was really, really smart of them to have a person like you, because tech companies, they don't communicate well, historically, in my experience. Think about HubSpot. I mean, I am a HubSpot partner. I love HubSpot, don't get me wrong, but as they have grown as a company, their support is not what it used to be. Because you're dealing with a very technical individual for the most part who doesn't understand. But the ins and the outs of everything. You have every answer, and if you don't have the answer, you'll go and you'll find it. And that is the biggest value add for me, because I am so busy and I have so many clients asking me questions. I have John, the owner of Blue Frog, asking me questions. I've got my team members. I'm doing training. I'm showing everybody that sometimes I just don't have the time to figure it out myself. And I have an ally in you to go and be able to get that information. And that is priceless to me.
Oh, well, thank you. That was so nice. And it sounds like that's exactly what you are to the clients at Blue Frog. So that's probably why we get along so well. So now at this point, everyone knows that I'm a huge fan of Blue Frog. So where can people go to learn more about your agency?
So go to our website. I mean, you're going to find a huge culture-driven site design, and come and learn about us. I mean, we're completely data-driven. We do everything in a realm of respect and accountability and transparency. And if anyone's looking for an inbound partner, we would be happy to do it. We partner with HubSpot. So our website, www.bluefrogdm.com. That's D as in Dan and M as in Mary.
Perfect. All right. Well, you're awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Kelsey. I really appreciate you having this conversation. Of course.
Thank you.